Hello and welcome to another episode of It Was Mooney, your source for all things movie, streaming, and pop culture related. I'm your host, Kosi, and I'm joined always by Wani B. And we're joined again in the studio by a good friend of the show, brother. What's up, man? Eric. What's up, man?
What's up, Kosi?
How you doing, bro? And, dude, and your steel drum that you...
We gotta show it off, y'all. We gotta show off our
David.
lack of musical talent.
Yeah. Hear that? That's for free.
That's for free
guys.
Listeners.
That's all. That's
Soothing,
all
nice music.
Yeah, but I want to thank Eric for just providing us with a cool steel drum, dude.
It's been a while since I've been here.
And providing us with his presence, more importantly.
Yes. Actually, yes. We like you more than the steel drum.
Yeah, Eric.
Damn. Well, that's why I brought it up.
No, but we got a really good show on. We got on tap for today's show, brother.
All right, so doing a double review today.
Double.
We're doing, first of all, a retro review. 20th year anniversary, right?
20 years, yeah.
Yeah, 20th. Yeah, 20-year anniversary of 40-year-old virgin.
So he's a 60-year-old virgin.
He's
now?
a 60. Well, he's not a virgin anymore, technically.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
If you've seen the movie,
right.
yeah.
He's a 60-year-old married man.
It's a spoiler, but yes, he's...
Yeah, spoiler alert. And then we're following up on our one shot from next week reviewing the first episode of Escape from Dannemura.
Yeah, man, it should be good. We have a lot of thoughts on that show, so stay tuned.
So, first of all, before we jump in real quick, start of the new year, start of a new Eric, new Kosi, new Juan. Also, start of a new president. Any last minute thoughts on that before we sign off on the Biden era?
Man, TikTok's going away, and it feels like nothing's going to change. But I know that all the kids are just going to...
I guess Reels is just going to take over.
The kids are going to have to come to Instagram, which the kids don't want to do.
But, Eric, how will they afford
They're going
those
to some
mansions?
Chinese app. Red
Chinese
Book
app?
or some other Chinese app, a different one.
That'll be more racist sounding than that one. The Red Book's actually on safer sounding.
I guess it's a good time to get in on the ground floor with a new app.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing, though, is that how long is this app going to last? Is it going to
we shall see.
Look, TikTok lasted, 5 years or so? So, it's safe to assume maybe like another...
I still feel like there's a good chance they'll either delay the ban, because Trump doesn't want the ban to happen, or they'll find somebody to buy it. Apparently, there's rumors Musk might buy it, so he can own all the social media.
Isn't like Mr. Beast like buying for it too? Like, is that true?
There's people putting in bids. There's people trying to make a play for it. I think tomorrow's Biden's last day. I don't think we're going to see TikTok's last day be tomorrow.
It's crazy that it's the Sunday, the day of rest, is Biden's last day.
I'm pretty sure it's on purpose that inauguration
Joe.
is on a Monday.
No, I know. It just feels more because of what's coming. It feels
one last day of peace.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. That's what it kind of feels like.
The calm before the storm.
Yeah, well, a little bit.
I think all seriousness though, I still think just I hope that when he gets in office, he just makes stuff better. That's his whole slogan, right? Like, make this country great again. Just do good. I don't think so, but again, I hope he does it. That's all I can hope for at this point.
No, I agree. I don't want to get too political with this. I hope 4 years from now, the United States is in a better place than it is now.
Of course, man.
Does anybody think Home Alone 2 would have been better if he met Biden in the lobby instead of Trump?
It would be a lot.
You know
weirder.
what?
It'd be a lot weirder, actually.
No.
No.
Even back then, Biden was kind of a boring ass dude.
Yeah, like who's this boring senator?
He
But
probably
no.
would have tried to smell his hair.
Hey, Kevin, come here for a second. Let me get a little.
Hey, Kevin, get over here. I want to smell your fucking hair. I want to smell your hair, kid. Come here.
Don't let him feed you any malarkey, kid.
Lobby's this way.
Dude, again,
Oh, man.
I do appreciate Home Alone 2, though, for Tim Curry. Tim Curry's a great villain, like, in that movie.
Hey,
he
man.
was awesome in
hey,
that.
Tim Curry.
I'm probably going to get a lot of
Yeah.
shit for this, but Rob Schneider played Cedric.
Oh,
bellhop.
Rob Schneider was
And
the...
you're right.
Yeah,
It was actually not a bad
the
performance.
tip, like, remember he asked for the tip, like, and he gave him gum.
He gave him zebra stripe gum.
You know what?
Dude, the worst gum
Where's
ever.
where that came from?
He gave him the worst goddamn gun we could give
You
him.
know what? That one movie.
We love you, sir.
That one movie where he played Rachel McAdams.
Oh my god, the hot chick.
The hot chick.
That body swap movie, which is
That was
really problematic.
that was not bad.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
It was
not
actually
bad.
not. It really wasn't that
With
bad.
Anna Faris. Anna Faris.
I feel like there should be a separate episode on the decline of Rob Schneider because everyone can agree there has been at least one movie where they were like, he wasn't that bad.
Deuce Bigelow, he was great in.
Deuce Bigelow's so fucking funny.
I love them in Waterboy.
So
The Waterboy. Remember the animal, that horror movie where he died and like got resurrected with animal parts? Yeah, it was horrible. But
I feel like this should be its own, or could be its own.
Judge Dredd, he was like.
I would love to talk about this.
We'll have to do a deep dive on Rob Schneider's career at some
Where art
point.
thou?
But
he keeps winning the Golden Raspberry, which is like they just give it to the worst actor every year.
I
don't know what foundation owns this award, by the way. It's not the Oscars, but it's
they just
it's
lived
like
to
the
insult Rob Schneider.
it's like the anti-Oscars.
Yeah.
But
They live to shit on Adam Sandler and Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler is a cool dude.
And how I know this, by the way, is because it's listed on his IMDb.
As multi-time
shitty
Razzie winner.
awards. Yeah. IMDb also has shitty awards that people get, not just great awards, but
That's impressive. But speaking of funny movies from a long time ago,
Oh man, great segue.
let's get to that review.
Boy, you don't like the segue, man? Eric, why are you laughing at? We actually came up with that segue.
It was written down in the lab.
it was
Yeah, bro.
it was not bad. I just wasn't expecting it to be
That ridiculous.
that great.
But yes, it's.
We'll do an old timey Hollywood transition. We'll even do the.
Why, thank you, Juan, and welcome to Nostalgia Review with Mooney.
Fraser Crane logging in.
Hey, baby, hear the blues I call in. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Anyway, so yes.
No, listen, y'all. 40-year-old virgin, 20-year-old movie. Us, but fun ass movie. All right, big start of the Judd Apatow, I think, takeover of comedy.
Yeah, it kind
comedy
of
in Hollywood.
It kind of really. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Judd Apatow did a movie or two before this called Heavyweights.
He did Heavyweights, and he also wrote on Freaks and Geeks, where he met a few of the actors in this.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen Heavyweights,
incredible.
It's an incredible movie that's on Disney Plus because it's a Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's a Ben Stiller movie.
It's like White Goodman before White Goodman.
It's about a bunch of kids who go to fat camp to lose weight, but they end up finding friendship and having fun. But this crazy gym owner, like Ben Stiller, basically his character from Dodgeball.
Yeah, White Goodman.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uncle Tony.
Yeah.
He takes over the camp and wants everyone to get in shape, and all the kids are like, "No, we want to stay fat and have fun." And he's like, "All right, cool." So they bully him out of it, but it's such a good movie, and I feel like
Heavyweights.
watching that is a really good precursor to 40-Year-Old Virgin in the movies that we have now for Judd Apatow, because you're right, it kind of is the start of this huge cult classic that he's become.
It's a big run. Correct me if I'm wrong on some of these. He did Knocked Up.
Knocked Up was
He did. Did he do Superbad?
He did Superbad.
Superbad. He did Pineapple Express.
Pineapple Express he wrote it, but David Gordon Green directed. But he did help. create.
Did he do somebody make a porno?
Exactly.
Yes.
Make a porno. Yes,
Yeah.
it was either he produced or wrote on a lot of these.
That I
movies,
think was the only one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
He did that movie with Adam Sandler, I think. Funny People.
Funny People, and also This Is 40 with Paul Rudd.
Yes, This Is 40.
Did he do Juno?
Juno, he did not do.
No,
he didn't
I
do
think
Juno,
so.
but but again, he has an incredible run. His most recent one was the King of Staten Island with Pete Davidson and Bill Burr, who people just forgot was a very great comedic actor. But
very talented actor.
Yeah, but going off, but yeah, like that movie, 40-year-old version, was the start of the Apatow's like reign in comedy. When you think of comedy in like the mid to late 2000s, like Judd Apatow did it, and that's the movie that kind of like put him on the map. And like, I love how
well deserved, by the way.
Well deserved.
Very well deserved.
I think the reason why I wanted to go into this movie, like pick this one in particular, because, again, turning 20, but if you look at the who's who of just who's in this movie and the cast, like it either launched a career or basically launched a career like a lot of people in it. Like obviously Steve Carell, who was, I think, a year into the American version of The Office by when this came out. He already
Quick comment on that. You can very much tell if you watch The Office season 1 that Steve Carell got great hair, either implants or surgery or something after that season 1. He was clearly balding. He was clearly having a tough time. By the time he finished being famous after 40-Year-Old Virgin, he comes back on the show got that nice little coiffed hair, and look more professional.
You guys should watch him on the Dana Carvey show. It's only one season, and the show is
okay.
ridiculous. But it's him and Stephen Colbert and Dana Carvey, and they're very young. There's actually small side tangent. It's like 20 seconds, but there's a documentary on Hulu about the making and the downfall of the Dana Carvey show, because he got so popular after SNL, and then the show only lasted a season, got canceled. Very funny, very good. Both are, but
Dana Carvey was the one that did the Turtle movie, right?
He's Master of Disguise.
He's also
the Turtle. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's also one part of Wayne's World. He's
Garth.
He's Garth.
Yeah,
it's funny you remember him for the
turtle.
All sides.
I watched that movie a lot as a kid. In my defense,
dude, that movie was horrible. But as a kid,
it was really bad.
Made me laugh so much as a kid.
As a kid, that I'm not turtly enough for a turtle club. Turtle killed me as a little kid.
Dude, I liked Mystery Men too.
Mystery Men was amazing.
Mystery Men was a great old movie.
Evolution. I don't know.
Evolution was amazing too.
Man,
with David Duchovny and Orlando Brown. Yeah.
That was with the guy from American Pie, right?
Yes. Sean William Scott's in there too.
Yes.
It was like
it was a Head and Shoulders commercial.
It was like Ghostbusters meets like Aliens.
No, it was Ghostbusters basically meets
Good
Aliens.
era of movies, man.
Yeah,
good era of movies.
Wild era of
early
movies,
2000s
right?
where dude.
They were just greenlighting everything, and more than half the time, the movies that were good, like when we were growing up in this era, I feel like they wouldn't greenlight today. They'd be like, no.
Absolutely, they wouldn't.
Time. And I remember watching this. My personal history with the movie. The movie we're talking about again is 40-Year-Old Virgin, 2005, Judd Apatow movie. 40-Year-Old Virgin should reintroduce me to Michael McDonald, because I didn't know. I thought my family thought Michael McDonald was a black guy, and even up until like I was like early teen. So like when I saw this, I was like, wait. He isn't a black. He's like, no, like, I'll be there.
They repeatedly play this. They're in so the setting is in an electronics store, basically.
Best Buy,
like a Best Buy
more sad.
ripoff, right?
Circuit City
from the 90s or early 2000s. Yeah, Circuit City is a good example. Radio Shack type store, and they just basically have on all the TVs Michael McDonald playing constantly.
It's a really great
like
running
the
gag.
whole movie.
It's the same song.
Yeah, the same like one concert song. Like it's like a DVD of like when they used to have the. It's fantastic. Man.
Yeah, but so Steve Carell and great cast again. Steve Carell, Catherine Keener, Paul Rudd, Rami Malek, Seth Rogen. He plays Andy. Andy Stitzler. He works in this Circuit City ripoff, and one night he and his friends Seth Rogen, Rami Malek, Paul Rudd, they're playing cards, and they find out that their good friend here in a hilarious scene where they're like describing like how a boob feels.
It's a very raunchy scene where they're all describing like, oh, describe your grossest sex scene.
Oh my god!
And they're all describing like wild, gross, like over the top movie shit. Like, wow, like what the fuck are you getting up to, right? And then they're like, hey, Steve Carell, Paul Rudd's being a little whiny bitch, so you tell your best story too.
Because Paul Rudd's getting all sentimental about it.
Yeah, he's like his like ex-girlfriend from 2 years ago. It's like
Mindy Kaling.
Mindy Kaling. It turns out we could go over some of the random. I actually want to go over some of these random background actors.
Kat Dennings.
We have Kat Dennings as a young Kat Dennings. Jane Lynch
is in this.
Paul Rudd. Half the cast of what was the Grown Ups? No, not Grown Ups. The one with Paul Rudd.
Grandma's Boy. No.
The one with Paul Rudd and.
David Koechner's in this.
The Christopher Mintz-Pazet or whatever, the guy who did from.
No! I know. Oh man.
Role Models.
Yes.
The guy from American Pie as well.
Yeah.
One of my favorite young cameos is Jonah Hill trying to buy the fucking
boots.
Oh my god.
Jonah Hill trying to buy these like crappy little.
It had fish in them.
The go-go boots, the little go-go boots, it's very, very young looking. A lot of these guys, you clearly, it's before Hollywood. Like the fame, like they got some, a little bit of trainers, maybe a little bit of Botox injections, a little bit of work done.
One of my favorite scenes ever in a movie, in a comedy movie, was Kevin Hart's cameo where he's arguing with Rami Malek, and like I didn't know who Kevin Hart was. I was like, who? Again,
he was a nobody back then.
Yeah, like who is this guy? He made the most out of like a 10-minute. He's like, hey man, so you've done a lot of big words with me. So I don't know what that means. I'm taking the disrespect. Watch your mouth. Tell me what this says.
Bro, that's one of my favorite lines.
You getting both of you getting. He's like, I love how Apatow is able to like. he kind of gets criticized for like letting scenes play out a little bit too much, maybe letting the actors go riff.
That's
but
his thing.
This was the perfect blend of like, okay, letting them go and like letting them use what's on. I mean,
there was a couple of those. You know how I know your gay scene? It's clearly them riffing with each other. It's incredible amount. I think like Mindy Kaling we already talked about. That was Paul Rudd's. Very not much into him. Short-term girlfriend.
Kelly from The Office, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
I've had a hard time liking Coldplay after 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh man, that's
bro. Whenever I'm driving, like I always say that instead of honking, I'll be like, "Get the fuck out of the road, Virgin!" Like again, it's like quotes like that baked in, sprinkled into like a really sweet movie.
Putting the pussy on a pedestal.
Oh my god!
Can't put the pussy on a pedestal.
You're making a puss a liar. You're making a big thing you can't defeat. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting pussy on the pedestal. It's like it's stuff where like it sounded like how like friends would talk to each other, but like done in a way that like it's still
a lot of it is improv. A lot of them is just the people's talent.
He does it, and he has such a style that it makes me look back and think that he did movies that he didn't, like Dodgeball.
Oh yes. Yeah, that wasn't him.
I look back and think that was a Judd Apatow flick, but it's not.
Yeah. No.
So he has a
Judd Apatow films tend to be a little more heart and sentimental based, as opposed to pure absurdity.
Yeah, there's always a heart to
right, like 40-Year-Old Virgin, and again, it like tries to tell, like it doesn't go deep into it, but it tells a message about what this embarrassment can feel like, the shame you can feel like,
how it was looked at back then.
Male friendships, both in a positive and toxic way. Frankly, they're kind of abusive to him for a good chunk of the movie. And
Romney Malco's character, how he is with his girlfriend cheating on her, how Paul Rudd's with
everybody is very shitty to women in this movie repeatedly, except for Steve Carell.
Yeah. Like, and they're telling him, no, here's how you get girls, but you're looking at it like, no, these guys don't even know what they're talking about. Like, yeah, they get girls, but they're not fulfilled, and like Steve Carell wants to be fulfilled. It's a great kind of duality they have in this movie going on.
Oh, last big. That wasn't. She didn't become as big, but Catherine Kiefer was the mom in Get Out.
Yeah, Catherine Keener. Yeah, like the one.
Yeah. She was the one with in the sunken place. To put him in the sunken place.
I'm pretty sure after this movie, him and Leslie Mann got married too.
I thought they were married. I think. Hold on, I can actually look this one up.
Paul Rudd and
Judd
Apatow and Leslie Mann.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I think they were.
She was in a whole bunch of the movies. She was in Knocked Up. She was in.
Well, they've been married for a while.
Too. They got married in '97. They'd been together.
Lord.
Yeah. Their daughter's an amazing actress.
That was before Heavyweights.
Yeah.
Well, who is their daughter?
She's in a Euphoria. Let me see here. Maud Apatow. Have you seen Euphoria? She's a great actress. She's in that.
I just don't know.
Yeah. But no, family.
The girl who's not a piece of shit.
Yeah, the only
girl who you should be friends with.
That's
in that
actually
movie.
a great way to put it. Lexi's a great character. So but no, it's a really talented family, and this movie really just to harp on just the personal aspect of it. It kind of really formed like what my sense of humor was. Like this and Chappelle Show were what I watched a lot. Like when this came out on DVD, I'm watching it repeatedly, and like they really, really kind of like that irreverent grade school humor, but like done in a really, really well done way, in my opinion. And
he's like a more mature Ned's Declassified.
It feels like he would make an adult version of Ned's Declassified.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And you do notice. Like right now, we mentioned all the actors look like younger, almost cheaper indie versions of themselves. Right. But the movie itself, right, the lighting, the way it's shot, you can tell it was made on a pretty damn low budget.
It's back when comedies were mid-level comedies.
But here's the thing: like shortly after that, Knocked Up's 2, but then you got Pineapple Express as a big
Pineapple
budget.
Express had money.
Just 3 years later,
Pineapple Express had money.
And I think in 2005, with this coming out, was like kind of was a eureka
moment. That was
moment
back
for everyone,
when even Dodgeball looked like it cost a good chunk, with the big stadium.
It came out a year before,
advertisements.
It was a year before, but still looked like the
These movies made it seem like big. They could be trusted with big budget comedies, like the kind of stuff we don't really see anymore. Original ideas, entirely irreverent, based entirely on the star power of the people involved and the writing and just the chemistry. of the actors.
But with 40-year-old virgin, it was kind of weird because Steve Carell wasn't really a star. Like this was
none of these people were stars at the time.
It was pure funny. It was what this movie survived on and what it's remembered for, and it's really, really amazing how they did that.
When was he on the Jon Stewart show?
Let me see.
It was around that time. It was around. I think it was before The Office.
Okay, because he was a pretty big correspondent.
The Daily Show, right? Yeah,
he was before. That was before he got on The Office. I'm pretty sure.
This was the last. 40-year-old virgin came out the last year he was on the Daily Show. Then later,
Yeah, no.
Because he was great on that too.
I never watched him. I saw him for the first time.
I saw him after Colbert started the Colbert Report.
What? Probably
Daily Show. I started
probably
watching.
my favorite political show of all time.
Daily Show. That's a lot of people's favorite political show.
The Colbert Report.
Oh, Colbert Report was hilarious.
I loved Colbert Report.
Colbert Report was hilarious.
So good.
That whole era of comedy, man.
That's the one. I didn't watch a lot of them,
Comedy
but
Central was a good. Like they
Comedy
had
Central.
good shows.
Oh, when they had the what do you call them? The actual stand-ups at night.
Yep.
The roasts.
They had.
And comedy blend and stuff.
That's when they played good movies like Clerks and
that's where
Mallrats.
That's where I saw the unedited version of Not Another Teen Movie and Basketball. Like that's what,
man.
I'm pretty sure I might have watched Scary Movie on Comedy Central at one point.
Scary Movie 2.
Absolutely, that's how I
they'll
saw
show
most of them.
Yeah.
Comedy Central used to be
Comedy Central
king
used to be
of
a
comedy.
powerhouse channel.
Yeah, and they've had South Park for forever. It's still going.
Oh my god, that was what out of everything that was on Comedy Central, it was Futurama and South Park that kept me there.
Yeah, no.
For me, it was Chappelle's Show.
Shows came and went.
And South Park. Yeah.
I felt like
Show. It was a while where you could watch South Park, then Colbert Report, then Daily Show, like back to back to back.
See, because
that was a great evening. Wednesday evening. It was Wednesday evenings.
I feel like in high school I was one of the only people watching Detroiters at the time.
I love that show. I just watched it
because nobody. It was. I think you should leave Guy's show before he made that.
Oh, okay.
Because he wrote for SNL and then got out of SNL and made Detroiters with Sam Richardson, and then I don't know what he did in between, but that was such a good show.
It was. It was a fun show.
Oh my god,
it was a fun show. So, anyways, going back to this movie. I think a lot of people have already watched this, right? But basically, the friends start trying to get him hooked up with random different girls. That's when he has the incident with Leslie Mann where she drunkenly tries to drive him home.
Almost kills him.
Oh, he's like a big time loser nerd. Like they harp on how big a loser he is.
He has collectibles in the actual plastic,
but he doesn't just have collectibles. Like his whole apartment is covered with them. He has like video games, like an entire wall of video games.
He has a video game chair.
He drives a bicycle to work, and this becomes like a big deal multiple times. Where it's like, "Hey, take me on a date." Oh, I don't have a car so yet to pick me up. That's why the drunk chick ends up driving him home and almost killing multiple people on the road.
Like the way the movie sets him up is like, hey, this guy he's kind of a loser. But what I always appreciated was like he was okay with it. He was always comfortable in his skin. It's just that one thing about him being a virgin was obviously something that like made him comfortable. But for the most part, he was okay with himself and like didn't really mind that he was a virgin.
I think he did feel lonely. I think he did
of course,
have that moment where you kind of saw him doing his hobbies and you realize it's like, on some extent, like playing video games every once in a while, I like doing little fun nerdy things every once in a while. But when that's all you have going, it's there's only so much that kind of it's like it's a type of materialism, right? Like video games are fun, comics are fun, all this stuff is fun, but you need actual human connection at some point.
That's why I was glad he met Catherine Keener. And another great thing about the movie is, again, their relationship and the arc it takes. I always thought, like, watching it later on, I loved that arc. Like, two people that, like, don't seem as though they would kind of be compatible, but as it went on, I really bought their relationship growing. And they had great chemistry, the two of them. I always thought that.
I do. The only maybe criticism I have of it is that they have, like, a very quick conflict resolution.
Oh, yeah.
And the actual relationship part of the movie is surprisingly small. It like really doesn't kick off at all until well past the second half of the movie.
Yeah, when you do the whole 30 dates thing, and like he doesn't want to, she's like, "Why do you want to have sex? Why
That
don't you
too.
wanna have
Even
sex?"
the whole
Yeah.
30 days thing is like a 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Like it's like fairly quick. There's like big chunk of the movie is him just fucking around with the dudes and them getting up to hijinks, which I love. All the like him in the club, him in these different situations, him hitting on Elizabeth Banks. It's all hilarious. Right?
And again, Romany Malco is his friend who's like, trying to be. He's spearheading this whole like venture to get him. It reminded me a little bit of like American Pie. Like, hey, we have this pact to get, but like for grown-ups. But like he has this whole thing where he's like, you gotta. I tell you what you need to say. Like, hey, we go to Elizabeth Banks. Well, he says this, but also Seth Rogen says it. Hey, when you go up to her, just ask questions. So he just does a lot of deflecting. Where like that whole funny scene where Elizabeth Banks is like asking questions. Like, I don't know, like.
What do you want?
That whole thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like kind of making fun of how guys would pick girls up during that time and how it actually worked, and he wasn't expecting it. And again, it's just a really funny way to show just at the time that's what was working for people at the time. So
yeah. No, and again, it is notable that it wasn't just that he didn't have a girlfriend. Like, these dudes weren't really his friends at the beginning of the movie. Like, Seth Rogen and company.
They weren't his friends.
Seth Rogen at one point openly tells him, like, hey, I used to think you were a serial killer. And then Steve Carell is like, laughs, and it's like, I'm not joking. Like, he's just, like, openly...
And it's because like they all said the cool shit they did in the weekend, and they're like, "Hey, what'd you do, Steve Carell?" Well, I made a egg salad sandwich
without the bread.
It's a whole spiel about how he made too much.
It's like a 2-minute spiel about how he just made a big egg salad sandwich and then he didn't have any bread.
It's something a serial killer would say. So good on you, Seth Rogen.
Yeah, it's all kinds of weird shit. They just kind of invite him just because he's like part of the store and they kind of feel bad and they don't have anybody else. But again, they are legitimately, they make fun of him and then rip on him. But they do, in their own way, care and try to help him.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not just fully... They do troll on him, but in the way dudes troll on each other.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It wasn't like, hey, you suck, get out of here. What are you doing? Like, they kept continuously trying... In arguably misguided ways.
Yeah, like when Romney Malco tells him, hey man, your dick is my dick. Like, he meant that with his whole heart because he cares about him in this way. And I think also there's like a fascination they all had. Like, imagine if you heard that, it's like, okay, like nowadays I think it's not as like crazy or taboo, but back then it's like you weren't even seen as a man, kind of how like they kind of wanted to say, but it was said in a funny way. And that whole aspect of and how they approached it was what made like the comedy really, really like be timeless. Really,
yeah. No, great scenes, tons and tons of great one-liners. I think we've been over quite a few of them already. Tons of great career starts. Jumping off in this, y'all have any last thoughts, criticisms?
Well, like again, in nostalgia reviews, they're really just a chance for us just to like just glaze this movie, reminisce as the kids say. I'll say this though, Judd Apatow movies tend to run a bit long, again because of he lets the actors just do their thing. So yes, this movie did feel as though there were some spaces where we're kind of just doing hilarious scene where he goes to Kat Dennings to the little sex thing, and the guy that plays Tom Dubois, he's there with his son. Like,
that's him.
Yeah, it's Cedric Yarbrough.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. That whole staff sequence is like that, where it's a good 5-minute long sequence. Do we need that? No, but it showed him bonding with Kat. So like,
it does build the characters, the relationships, and again, it's just hilarious.
It's so funny.
The little guy is like, "Oh, you with your little Jufro thinking you're cool," and he's like, "I typed that. You have a tiny dick, Seth."
Again, like that's I guess if I were to say it, it's like it runs a little bit long. It's like a 2-hour long movie. Most comedies, there's no rule of thumb for comedies, but I think most comedies should run like an hour and a half. This one runs a good 2 hours, but it's a fun time.
It's worth it.
The pacing is a bit, iffy, and they do spend a bit of time just like dumping on Carell, just like making him look like a loser a couple times
to set it up that like when he finally achieves it at the end, it's kind of cool to see him like at the end, like he
absolutely it's heartwarming. It's the thing. It's heartwarming. It's the movie's funny, but it also has this heartwarming core. And I really think, the heart dance number where they're all like half post-sex when he finally has sex and they're all just dancing in the sun.
3 hours later.
Yeah, right. No, I love the movie. I think my favorite Apatow is still Pineapple Express.
Oh my god, same here. That's
that was, I
favorite.
think, his like apex, like everything. He had the big budget, the big actors.
That wasn't him directing, but again, he was part of that. That was again. Like
I think it was a big part of that.
Yeah. So yeah, same here.
Yeah, no, a lot of good movies in his filmography. He's on amazing work.
Yes,
you definitely don't see too many of these movies. Like maybe there was that movie with Jennifer Lawrence recently.
Oh, the one which helps that kid out. What's it called? No.
It's kind of a similar concept where the kid's a virgin, but he's like a 20-year-old.
Yeah, it actually did pretty.
It did decent. It did decent.
Mm-hmm. But stuff like that, where like a raunchy like comedy, where
raunchy comedy,
pushes the envelope a little bit.
Like it is fun. You enjoy the characters. There's a little bit of heart to it. Again, you really don't see too many of those anymore, and they didn't do that well. Like, they did all right.
I think that's what it is. They just stopped making money. I think we can still like push the envelope and go there. I think it's just getting that return on our investment.
It's tricky. A lot of them is like, oh, you're gonna make a comedy. Okay, just put it into a superhero.
Yeah, no hard feelings is
no hard feelings.
Yeah. Folks aren't willing to spend that $20 million to make that mid-range movie because they want to get their money back. No one's really going, but
they want a guarantee.
Yeah, but I still think you can. I reject the notion that people say, oh, you can't make a Blazing Saddles today. No, you can. You have talented writers who can do this. Is there an audience for it? That's the question.
I do think they're going to have to play kind of close to where horror is, where they go for that low budget, high profit route.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much market for high budget comedies based on original concepts these days. Like to the point where they can make the money back with all the increased costs and stuff. That's hard to say. Like something like Pineapple Express, where it has full-on action sequences with explosions and practical effects and all that stuff. You're probably gonna have to go, a little bit more unknown actors, a little bit shooting on scene, like cheap cameras.
So fun fact: Pineapple Express cost $26 million to make, and it made $100 million.
That's insane,
right? And but it.
To be fair, it's a long time ago, right?
But you see the $26 million on the screen, like they put that to good use and all that, and like that's
but nowadays that similar movie would cost $200 million. So that's part of the problem.
Same with 40-Year-Old Virgin also cost $26 million.
Really, that's impressive.
And it made $177 million. But again, this is 2005,
and back then, see, part of the thing back then, you enjoyed these movies. They wouldn't necessarily do gangbusters at the theaters. Nah. But then you go out and buy the DVD.
That DVD I bought, same with Pineapple Express, like they have a second.
You would absolutely 100%. So you're spending double the money.
Yeah, you doubled
right. So every single person who enjoyed that movie in the theaters is basically doubling up with the DVD. That you don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
Right. You just pay the $15 a month for whatever streaming service.
Yeah.
Instead of $13 for that one movie.
I feel like it's kind of coming back now.
Yeah.
People are buying more movies.
Well, I think, definitely with like streaming services having a whole like catalogs, people aren't actually buying physical copies as much. But there's still a market.
They're still purchasing them.
There's still a market for them, especially with streaming services. Sometimes being dicks about the way they.
It won't like you won't always have like Jumanji on Stars. It'll go away. But if you have Jumanji on Blu-ray like I do, like you have it forever. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, so wonderful movie. I think we all give it a great rating.
Absolutely.
I think we all really love that movie, both as kids. And even today, it holds up very well.
For all you 40-year-old virgins out there, it's cool. Just be yourself. You'll find
But also make moves. Don't stay at home.
Yes.
Meet people.
Yes.
Be bold. You don't have to stop being a nerd. You don't have to change your interest.
Throw away your action figures.
Yeah.
But you do have to put yourself out there and meet people.
That's a great message.
And be kind.
Yeah, that's actually another message of the movie.
Because no, Steve Carell still has to grow up and make changes.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what you want to analyze it as, he does not stay the same character throughout.
He sold all of his toys at the end, but to help pay for his wedding and his
not just his wedding, his dream. He was going to open up his own store to basically be a new, smaller Best Buy. Back when that was a good idea.
Who knows where he's at now?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that was back in the day. Yeah. No, great movie.
Fantastic movie.
All right. So, I think it's time for our one-shot review.
One shot.
One shot, one opportunity.
One shot, One opportunity.
No, we spun the wheel last week, Eric. We came upon this show from Stars. It was, I think, action adventure.
Action adventure.
It was called a show called Escape at Dannemura.
Dannemura.
So we watch. If you remember the concept of
Yep.
one shot, basically we'll watch the first episode, give a quick review to say, did it pass its one shot? Was it worth continuing on?
after.
Is it an episode we recommend to our viewers? Right. So, a quick overview of the episode before we give our thoughts. Basically, the episode is a prison break episode. Dannemura is a prison. Right. We open on a shot of Patricia Arquette's character. She seems to be the main character, main woman behind this.
Kissing Kate Barlow herself.
Yes. Patricia Arquette, a big part in Severance. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
Severance season 1. So Patricia Arquette opens up and she's in prison clothes, like the black and white, like cartoon prison clothes.
Sorry, Juan. Speaking of Severance, Juan, I get another shout out to director of this whole series, Ben Stiller, for just killing it.
Ben Stiller is in.
He directed Dannemura.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, isn't it great? Yeah.
That's a trip. I did not realize
great,
that. Very big shout out.
When you said so, I was like, oh snap! Yeah,
double. That's where they met up and linked up so they could
He's
work in
killing
the
it,
future.
man. He's killing it.
I love Hollywood relationships like that, where you see them working together years later, and you know that personal relationship played a part.
You just knew. Yeah.
So Patricia Arquette opens up. She's in cuffs, prison suit, sitting there freaking out. She does not look like a normal prisoner.
Fantastic way of setting it up too. I love that. It kind of reminded me of like the first season of True Detective. Kind of like
yes,
yeah.
It's that kind of a vibe. You get that kind of a vibe where it's like, okay, and then the prosecutor comes in. It's Bonnie Hunt, if you all remember her, the mom from Cheaper by the Dozen.
Yeah. Sister of
Yes.
Helen Hunt. Yeah. Also, she was also the love interest in Jumanji.
Yes,
that was
yes,
her.
she was the love. Yes, that's the other one.
Yeah, but
Those two were her big roles back when we were kids. So it's basically it's a similar setup to what we got going on. A lot of cop shows, right? Prisoner, they're cuffed. In comes the prosecutor.
How did we get here?
To do a deposition and starts giving them the details, trying to butter her up, but also interrogating her in a way, like trying to get her to slip up clearly. And then, boom, we go to the flashback and we go to the actual events, right? So it turns out Patricia Arquette is a worker at the prison, right? At this prison, Dannemura. She works there. She works with the inmates. She works in like the fabric shop, I guess. They're doing a tailor shop. And right away, we see actually a couple of big names in that tailor shop. One of the big lead actors is Benicio del Toro.
Benny.
I love one of my favorite actors of all time. I don't think I've enjoyed every performance he's done in
I
any
still
movie.
think one of his best performances was in the first Sicario. If you guys need to see
Sicario, he just puts up random great performances. Like he's great in Snatch, Way of the Gun. If y'all have ever watched Way of the Gun, one of the best shootout scenes, one of the most realistic shootout scenes of any Hollywood movie ever. Watch Way of the Gun. It's a fantastic movie.
Okay.
Kind of reminds you a little bit of old Robert Rodriguez.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then Paul Dano. Paul Dano's another big actor in there.
I love how Paul Dano's character, his last name is Sweat, and he's just a slimy. I always think that Paul Dano is covered.
He got a little
sweat.
Goatee, like very trashy white trash goatee. He looks like he's from a trailer park home. Very much trash. So they're in there. They're like sewing up stuff, and then Patricia Arquette character kind of calls Paul Dano's like, "Hey, I need your help." Paul Dano seems to be kind of the second in command, like the main helper. He's still a prisoner, but he seems to be like
they're all prisoners, but
like the floor manager
for
the prisoners.
Whatever,
and they go into the back room to like I don't know, find some thread or something. And they immediately, Paul Dano and Patricia Arquette immediately get to fucking. Like, he just drops his pants, like, immediately, and it's just like pound town.
It felt like old school, again, HBO, like, hey, like, we know why you're here, guys. There's like...
It's not like glamorous and sexy,
Not at all, yeah.
It's like, not just because they're not particularly attractive, but it just feels like they're hiding. It's like very... like, okay, we're just doing this real
It's
quick.
It's
just
a quickie.
like,
It's a quickie in prison. So
it's like kind of gross. You feel the awkwardness of like she's her boss, but he's the dude, and it's like the power dynamics are iffy. So yeah, it goes on like that. We then go back to like her being with her husband. Obviously, it's not a great marriage. Her husband seems like kind of a rural town loser. They seem like they might be in Alaska or something. One of those like up north. It's very snowy.
Was it? I think it was Alaska.
It might be Alaska. It's very up north, like Minnesota type thing, right? Small town. They got a heavy accent. And they're just kind of going about their very boring days and stuff.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. Upstate New York.
Really? Upstate New York. Okay.
They had it. They didn't really establish that. Again, it's one episode, but like, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's okay. It's upstate New York. But again, like the frigid, like non-nice part of New York.
Yeah.
And then at that point we start developing the relationship of the actual prisoners. We get to know more about Benicio del Toro and Paul Dano, Sweat. Benicio del Toro basically kind of runs the prison a little bit. He's like the main inmate.
And again, this is all done it's one episode. Again, you have to capture us. And again, by this point in time, they have only so much time to do this, but they develop that and show us how Benicio's running things. How there's a hierarchy in this, and there's like a whole kind of system that he has.
They do a great job of showing, not telling.
Exactly.
They don't just say, "Oh, hey, you're the top dog. What do you need, top dog?" They have a scene where like a security guard comes up to him. It's still a security guard, but the security guard is clearly being respectful and somewhat deferential and friendly towards him. And then some other guy kind of goes like, "Hey, I hear the guy to ask about this stuff," and Benicio looks at him like, oh shit! Like the guard has to tell him like, "Hey, calm down. Like, don't kill this guy. Like, be nice. Like, you fuck off before I like." Guard even spits in his face and stuff. Guard has actually also been in some other TV shows. I think he's been in House and some other stuff. Okay. I can't remember his name. But he's like bit actor in some other stuff.
Okay.
I recognize his face at least from a couple other small roles. But anyways, surprising amount of like famous people in this like random kind of show.
Michael Imperioli apparently is in this show. So
okay, but yeah, at that point, we just kind of go over their prison life. It turns out this guy's a painter. Paul Dano also has kind of an artistic streak, learning to paint. We see their relationship. It's a bit of a slow burn,
definitely a slow burn.
It's just building up the relationship. And then building up the relationship between Paul Dano and Patricia Arquette, who clearly Patricia Arquette did something funny. It's now implied that she helped these two guys escape. Part of the questions at the beginning of the deposition were like, did you have a relationship with these men? Did they ever give you gifts? Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, it just kind of goes on like that. They kind of establish the prison life a little bit.
It does a good job of this again, as a first episode. It really does get you in, but also just get you really invested in every one of these characters, just so when it pops off, it like you really feel for them, and like it does a good job again of like showing life in this prison.
Oh,
so
David Morse is the guy I was talking about.
David Morse.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Small-time actor.
Hold on.
Yeah, if you want to
bad guy. Yeah. He was in Gladiator. Yeah, he was in the Green Mile. My gosh, he's a guy like you see his face, and you're like, oh, you just. DiCaprio pointed him because he's been in all this other stuff. Okay, I remember this guy.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it looks like. And then there's actually one funny scene where people start to suspect Paul Dano and Patricia Arquette are up to shit, and then basically a guy at the prison tells the husband, "Is like, hey, there's like a little bit of suspicion, but don't tell her I told you." And then the husband immediately goes up to the wife. So my buddy Paul told me you like the first thing he said. My buddy Paul says you're like too friendly with this guy, and they just kind of have a little fight over it.
I want to again just comment on Ben Stiller's just directing. He does a good job of like I haven't watched a lot of like I've watched Severance, but like little I've seen again reminded me of Dan. They're both totally opposite shows, but like Ben Stiller shows that he has a good way of like kind of balancing. This isn't a comedy. Dannemura is not a comedy, but he's able to handle like, jovial moments or like moments like that require that, but also he's able to really do a good job of like bringing us in and having us be there in the experience with the characters and like through dialogue and just shot selection. Like he really has a really good like touch and this is 2018. This is like well before Severance. So like you can really see Ben Stiller like kind of cementing himself in this. And Dannemura, again, for this one episode, I think he did a fantastic job directing.
Yeah, no. So overall, it's well acted, well performed.
Yep.
There's some interesting setups. One trippy scene, like the relationship between Paul Dano and Patricia Arquette. Again, the power dynamics are weird. Where at one point she wants him, she just kind of like orders him basically, like, "Hey, come, let's go fuck," and he's like, "No, I don't want to do this." And again, it's just like kind of a tense. And then the next time he comes in, and like this is what I always wanted to title this episode. It's the best way I can describe it is they have big titty mommy sex. So she has big old titties, Patricia Arquette, right? And basically, while they're having sex, she asks him to start calling him mommy and to like suck on her tits like like a baby would. And so yeah, call me mommy and like shit like that. And yeah, while they're having sex, so they're having big titty mommy sex.
Yeah. Look, I don't know why I was in there, but hey, it is what it is.
It's a trip scene. Actually, I think one, I guess, mystery / hint. She's wearing at one point a shirt that says Air Force Mother.
Oh.
And it seems like her husband and her live alone. It seems to be somewhat hinted that she lost a son.
Okay, I can see that.
I don't think that's definitive, but it seems like between that and that scene, it seems like she lost a son at some point.
I can see that. No, yeah, it definitely will make sense how she's acting, her just decision making, and like it definitely would like allude to that. But
it would allude to it a little bit, and then we end basically with her back in the position scene with the DA asking questions that implies, that clearly she knows something happened. And then Benicio del Toro kind of finds the first hint for how they're going to escape. They found like some tunnel or something.
Yeah, and that's it. So
that's pretty much the first episode.
So Juan, I guess the big question would be, would you give this another shot?
Honestly, there's a couple things against it. One, the lighting and the way it's shot. It's a Showtime show from 2018. It feels kind of cheap. Yeah, we're spoiled by like that kind of prestige TV lighting.
Like
you know what I'm talking
White Lotus, about? You see like there, like on Severance or something.
Like high def cameras, just like very fancy lighting, all this stuff.
I will say that it was shot starkly because the location was stark and grim. That's what I'd say.
That's part of it, but you notice it coming off. If you're watching off a lot of modern shows, it looked like it was shot closer to how 40-Year-Old Virgin was shot.
Okay.
I see that. Just a lot of plain shots of just landscape where they are.
The selection wasn't as imaginative or like kind of inventive.
It's not some high level cinematography.
I got you.
It feels like an old school cable TV show.
But it did feel
with
like that.
A surprising amount of high level movie actors.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's the biggest selling point. The acting is tremendous.
They do a great job.
And you get curious. I might watch the second episode to see where the story goes. It went very slowly, right? We hadn't even started doing any of the Prison Break stuff.
There's no escape. There's no escape yet from them.
Because we already know they're going to escape. So it's going to be tricky to see how we're going to make this interesting for 6 to 8 episodes.
Yeah, 8 episodes.
It's a mini series. It's a limited series, so it's not going to go on. But that's pretty much the show. What about you, Kosi?
Yeah, I want to repeat what Juan said, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed the actors. Definitely great performances, dialogue also. But yeah, I'm not really that interested in it, but I do applaud the effort. Just because I wouldn't follow through with it doesn't mean viewers, you guys shouldn't.
It feels like a little bit of a mystery box episode, but it almost feels like too obvious what the mystery is going to be.
Kind of know what they're doing.
Right. Maybe at this point, if they got to the part where she's at the deposition by episode 3 or 4, and then the rest is trying to capture them. Maybe, I don't know.
But they've done a lot of the heavy lifting already, so we're like, okay.
Yeah. So I think again, I think it would have worked better as a movie.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Than what it's doing. But I guess I could try to watch the rest of the show to find out. Yeah. But I might at least watch episode 2 to see if it holds my interest.
So I guess it's a no for me and a yeah for Juan on this one shot.
Iffy, yeah.
Iffy, yeah. On this one shot of Escape for
not a must watch, but interesting for what it is.
Yep, and that's Escape at Dannemura on Showtime.
Dannemora
on Showtime. And if you have Paramount Plus, you have Showtime, so you'll be able to watch it on there.
That is correct. Okay, I think it's time for the plug of the week, Kosi.
Plug of the week. Man, I guess I'll go first. I have my plug of the week is R.I.P. to David Lynch. We unfortunately lost the great director David Lynch. He's done a lot of what I'd say like weird stuff is what I like to call him. He's a weird kind of eye director, but very, very just inventive. Has his own voice, unique voice. He did the first Dune 1984 movie. He also did the incredibly successful Twin Peaks, along with like its relaunch. He's had a very illustrious career and passed away this week. So I just want to just give that plug of the week to David Lynch. If you guys are not even familiar with his work or have seen his work, go back and watch any of his movies. I'd say again, just watch Twin Peaks. It's like the one I know him best from. But yeah, it's a huge loss because he's a great creator.
Eric, you got one or?
My plug of the week is an anime.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's called Mashley Magic and Muscles. It is an anime essentially of Hogwarts, but if Saitama from One Punch Man went there. It's a world where everyone's born with magic, and they have these lines on their face. Everyone is magical, but he was born without magic. He wants to go to school, so he draws lines on his face, and he just fakes it till he makes it. It's like they have a flying lesson with the broom and everyone can fly, but he just throws his up in the air and jumps on it. But he does it so fast it looks like he's flying. So he just fakes it, but he's super strong. It's very good anime. It was on Crunchyroll, but now it's just dropped on Netflix, so it's way more accessible.
Okay.
The English voice acting is phenomenal too, so if you're like me and you watch anime while you're eating and you don't want to read all the time, the English voice acting is worth watching as well.
Okay.
Mashley Magic and Muscles.
Yes, sir.
All right. Cool.
Mashley Magic and Muscles. Okay, for me, my plug of the week is gonna be for a streaming service. Actually, I want to shout out Apple TV Plus.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. One.
Dang. Dude.
I absolutely do. One, because
Can you do that, Kosi?
You know what? I'll allow it.
Wow, bro.
The whole thing, bro. No, listen. One, right now it's been really hasn't been getting that much love, that many subscribers, but their average quality of their shows has been absolutely outstanding. Right? They have hit after hit.
They didn't always used to be like this, did they?
Well, they've only been around for a few years. So.
Okay.
Post Ted Lasso, I think they've been consistently having good, at least something good going on at any given time.
I remember when they first came on the scene, a lot of like question marks as to what they're going to provide, like in terms of original programming.
Dude, honestly, I thought Apple TV was going to fucking suck. I thought a lot of these Apple shows were just going to be awful.
To be blunt, most season 1 stuff, Morning Show was their big jump. Steve Carell, shout out to Steve Carell.
That was a great show.
It's a good show, but it didn't quite hit the heights I think they were expecting, either critically or commercially. It was big, it was a good show, but it wasn't quite like the big hit
I think Severance was the hit they needed.
Severance, but really Ted Lasso was the big jump off.
Yeah.
You can still see Ted Lasso at the top of the list, even though it ended multiple years ago.
Yeah.
And it was a short show. No, but right now, this past weekend on Friday, what do you call it? Silo Season 2 ended, and Severance Season 2 released on the same day. Now, Apple TV does it a little bit different than someone like Netflix and only releases usually one episode at a time, right? Especially for these big shows. Sometimes they'll release 2 or 3. For the most part, for the big shows, they'll release just one every week. And especially because they're very mystery-based, they're very discussion-based, they're water cooler type shows. They haven't become as big as they could be, simply because Apple TV, frankly, not everybody has it. Right? Not enough people have it. Yeah. But Severance is legit, in my opinion, the best show on television.
I would agree.
And going back to Silo, because I'm just such a big fan of Rebecca Ferguson. Is she great in that show? I gotta watch it.
Unbelievable in that show. I won't tell you it's a flawless show, because it does drag a little bit with some of the characters and some of the portions. Especially season 2, it dragged a little bit towards the middle.
Tim Robbins is great.
Tim Robbins was incredible.
He's fucking phenomenal.
All right. Rebecca Common is in it.
Nice. Okay.
No, they
also, Tim Robbins is fucking tall.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
you
he's
do not
a
notice.
giant human.
You didn't know that? Yeah.
When you played Andy Dufresne, they did the cameras and
The
they did
camera work on that
like
was-
Yeah,
they had him sit down in
good.
different
Back up a
ways,
little bit, yeah.
so he just seemed like a normal man.
This show, he looks
No,
like
in this show they do not fuck around. They're like, hey, no, he's like towers. Like, he makes
Yeah.
Tomlin look tiny. You know, he just
He's
like
5'9".
Yeah.
yeah.
That was
Tim Robbins is a good 6'3", 6'4".
that
know?
was
definitely
the
6'4".
one unexpected thing about that.
Yeah,
Tim Robbins is a
it's-
tall person.
The fact that he's that tall plays into his character.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
a very authoritative figure.
Yeah,
from what I
authoritative,
remember.
intimidating, and it's partly because he just kind of towers and leers
Yeah,
over people.
Tim Robbins is a whopping 6'5".
Yes.
He's 1 inch shorter than me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
crazy.
he's massive.
Bro,
That's
I
Got the big, broad shoulders.
Yeah.
dude, I could be Tim Robbins.
Dude, Eric, you could be Tim
I'm
Robbins.
already white and tall.
Yeah, you could beat Tim Robbins, bro. But no, man. So the finale of Silo and Severance released back to back. I watched them both at the same time. It had been a while since I'd had that experience of like 2 big shows and 2 big episodes coming out that same night, where you're just super hyped for both, and they both totally delivered. The final of Silo set up bigger mysteries, kept you on the edge of the seat. It has me desperate to find out what happens next. And you know what? Same with the Severance premiere.
Dude, this sounds like old school HBO. Like it's like a
HBO
television
is the
almost.
closest comparison. Back in the Game of Thrones days, where they'd constantly have not too many shows, right? They'd only have a couple shows at any given time, but everything they had was high quality.
Yeah.
Right? Apple TV is basically HBO without that long history.
Okay.
Right? You can't go back and watch The Wire and The Sopranos and other stuff to kind of mix in with the new stuff. That's really Apple TV's biggest problem. It just does not have a lot of content. Second biggest problem is that its movies, especially for how much money they've been spending on them, have kind of bombed. Right? Even Killers of the Flower Moon, that was a pretty good movie.
Killers did, yeah.
But it did mid at the box office. Napoleon and Argyle did terrible. So they've had a lot of movie bombs, right? But yeah, no, they're doing great stuff. Watch Severance, best show on TV right now. Silo also great. If you like Fallout, you'll love Silo. Great post-apocalyptic sci-fi.
Yeah.
I recommend getting on, spending the $10. I think it's worth the money.
All right. Thanks for the plug of the week, Juan.
Okay.
And with that, Juan, that's the episode, Juan. Dude, Eric, thanks for
having me, man. It's been a minute.
Thanks for
for
showing
coming,
up,
bro.
man. Thanks for getting nostalgic with me, guys. As we look back on the 40-year-old virgin, it's 20 years old, and geez, we're
So it's a 60-year-old virgin.
yeah, he's 60-year-old. So Andy, no, but actually, Andy made sure he wasn't a virgin at the end. So good for him. And again, to all you virgins or non-virgins out there, just be yourself and be happy in your own skin and treat people well. But
He's lying to you.
I am.
He's lying to you.
Don't be yourself. Again, though, this was again. You can find us on Spotify under the name It Was Mooney, and I want to thank you guys for listening to us right now. You can also find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Blue Sky. You can find us on Reddit. Juan, we're everywhere. We are
Not TikTok no more.
TikTok RIP.
TikTok's gone.
It's gone.
We'll see. We'll see
Come
if
on,
it's
Trump.
truly gone.
Come on, come on, Skip. Come on, Trump.
Oh, Skip.
Come on, Trump.
Oh, Skip.
Come on, Trump. Anyway, guys, I've been Kosi, and I'm joined always by Wani B and Eric. And until next time, guys, peace.
Adios.